started because I think we have our head count that was coming in. So guys, welcome. Thank you for coming out here to our workshop. I know a couple of you have been here before. I think maybe your first time out here? Okay, good. See? Our word's getting out there. She's seeing us online. So for those of you who couldn't attend today, you can watch us online. We've had several workshops throughout the semester. We found an interesting topic this time around that I saw some of the professors are already, interested in. Staying engaged with your students online. And that's a difficult situation sometimes. Sometimes you have students that are brand new to an online course and they've never taken one, so they're not sure what to expect. They maybe obviously had experience with in-person courses, so being online for them is going to be a new experience for them, and it could be an experience for you as well if you haven't taught as much online. So what I want to do on my end of the presentation is I want to give you a couple of tips, specifically 5 of them that can help you. Maybe have some tools, some sites that you can stay engaged with your students. My first one is, this is a good icebreaker. Have your students post a picture and introduction on their first day of class. It sounds like a very simple situation or scenario or assignment to do. We like to use it more as a icebreaker and an introduction to a discussion board. Reason being is because it's so easy and convenient nowadays to record yourself on your webcam on your computer. You could use your cell phone and you could post it. But more importantly, what this is doing is it's allowing other students and yourself as a professor to see who your students are, what their interests are. They can share experiences they've had in the past, what they're looking forward to learning, and it allows other students to comment on them and get to know the class. It gives them that sense of, who's the student in my class? Maybe I relate to them. Maybe we share the same hobbies. I could reach out to them throughout the semester because at least I had that icebreaker to get to know them. And students could respond by either posting a video response to their video introduction, or they could just type it in on the discussion board. So it's something to think about. I do have a couple of professors that use that right now. I believe geography is using that as one of their first, literally the first assignment is to introduce themselves. My second one is provide video lectures. Now this could be a little more intense because it does require some more time and preparation. But as professors, you guys are accustomed to giving your lectures in class and speaking in front of a crowd. Now, what that does is, if you want to, A, you could record yourself doing a lecture, or B, Byron has services that he provides here that he'll go out to your office, he'll meet with you, you could plan your lecture, you could just pretty much walk through your entire lecture for your modules, or maybe just for a specific module that the content is a little more heavy or intense, so you may feel more comfortable and be better for the students to be able to watch it in a video. And he'll go out to your office, video for you, he'll edit it, and we'll get it posted for you. But like I was saying, is having a video lecture, what it really does is it gives the students that sense of, here's my professor, she's showing me the information, I'm able to watch it. A lot of the students have the app of Blackboard, so they're able to watch your lecture on their phone. They may be on the Metro, whoever they are, they could put their headset in, they could actually watch this. So it's a great tool to get your students engaged instead of them just having to read just a straight through a PDF or some PowerPoint slides. That multimedia interaction definitely helps the students with engagement. My third thing that I like, a tip that I want to provide, is providing routine feedback. And this is one of the things that students who are taking online courses feel that I'm turning in assignments, I'm doing things, I don't know how I'm doing, I'm waiting for it to be graded. So you providing that feedback for them, and you can provide it in multiple formats. You could obviously not text a student, but what I'm saying is you can send them a direct message in Blackboard, and you can let the student know how he's doing, hey, you're doing a great job, or you could use constructive feedback. I noticed in the following items, in the past couple of assignments you did the following, I suggested maybe you could do something to improve it. But one that really catches your eye is if you do a video feedback. And you could do that with your phone, your webcam, and Blackboard allows you to post a video directly to a student, showing them like, hey, I went over your project, I noticed that maybe you should do the following, or I suggest maybe these sites could probably help you with your content. And what that really does, it catches their eye because the students are now looking and going, wow, I just completed an assignment, my professor just read it, and they're actually giving me a video commenting on what I should and shouldn't do. So they know that that engagement piece is there and they feel it on their end. And multimedia and video has that power to do that. So it's something to think about when you are providing feedback for students. One of the fourth things that I want to get into is get students to take action on what they learned. And what that is help students cross doing gap by having them immediately apply what they learned. Each lesson should consist of a piece of information and student action. These actions can include participating in an online forum, providing examples or scenarios, solving a problem, writing a short essay or a piece, having a conversation online or offline with a fellow student, reviewing what they've learned in notes or journaling, answering instruction questions. All that jumbled up, what that really means is you want to get your students to follow what you just provided as a lecture, whether it's a video or whether they read on something, but have them, their feedback's going to be assignments that are engaging, that it's immediate to the immediate, that it's pertaining to the immediate information that was provided to them. So you're going to give them like scenarios about open-ended questions. Let's just say you're covering something on the Civil War. You're going to have them immediately following the lecture. They could go into their assignment. It's going to be tailored towards it. And these kind of engaging pieces are really helpful for students because they're able to apply what they just learned and give them an opportunity to either respond with a video or a written post. And this kind of like portfolio approach is more open-ended because students are looking for choices. They're not looking for like, do I need to just type this out? Do I need to write this out? But they can show proficiency using a video. And this kind of engagement piece helps them stay engaged in your, whatever your assignment or subject matter is. My last one that I'm going to go over, my fifth tip, is gamification. Now this one could be a little new to some people. Some of you might have heard the term being put out there, but it's a really important piece because it's growing out there. There's a big movement to get gamification involved in courses, especially in online courses as well, because it can be used in in-person courses, but since we're talking about online courses today, I'm going to tailor it towards it. Some of the benefits in e-learning for gamification are the students get a better learning experience. They also provide a better learning environment for them. They also have instant feedback, something that I just started talking about previously about feedback. And it can be applied to any type of scenario. So, for example, a professor here at the University of Miami is currently using gamification in his course. So I'm going to play a quick video for you so you see what he's doing currently here.
Humans, we have a natural desire and need to play. Historically, playing games have been perceived as trivial and merely a casual pastime, but there's a growing body of research and creative work proving that games can make us look better. Specifically, games are an excellent medium for advocacy and awareness because they're inherently systems that also provide meaningful, situated learning. Throughout my undergraduate course, Introduction to Game Design, CIM 310, I introduced students to game design theory and development. Throughout the course, students analyze and apply principles used in the design of existing popular casual games and social impact games to conceptualize and design 3 unique non-digital games in small teams. The world is made up of systems. By studying games, students develop their critical thinking and creative skills to understand and design systems that are also meaningful to a student's interests. Learners are empowered to critically examine existing systems, question how they work, and apply the processes and principles to create simulations. I introduced game design over a 14-week semester. This section will therefore focus on several modified activities and strategies I've used with learners throughout a course. We will think about systems and explore games and simulations. You will need to review the resources and prompts in the activity description. I will first provide some introductory materials on games and systems. We will then play, evaluate, and revise an existing simulation-based game. I will finally introduce you to a game design document to help you conceptualize a simulation-based game for your needs. Good luck, and I look forward to your submissions.
All right, I apologize, it was a little low on our end. I I previewed it on a headset and it actually was kind of loud. I apologize, it was a little low. But at least you got the gist of it. Like, he's going out there and he's preparing materials that he's presenting to his students. And right away he's turning around and allowing the students to test it for themselves, giving feedback, and then the students give feedback on what they learned. So it's a really powerful engagement piece that they're using, and this is at the School of Communications, which is right next door to us. And they're using these tools, and they're actually gaining more popularity as it's been going on, as they've been giving them semester to semester. I want you to introduce you to a website that's out there that you could actually go out and see. It's gradecraft.com, and it's really important because it does have a lot of information of, like, first of all, you're probably thinking, like, how am I going to get games? How am I going to introduce these types of games into my particular course? And what this website does is it actually allows you to sign up, and you're able to explore different options and different types of games and scenarios. It also provides, I believe it towards the bottom, it has sample syllabus of how your course would look if you were to introduce a game into your course. And students are looking for this engagement piece because they're comfortable with this type of technology before they even come to your class. Straight out of high school, they're already comfortable with being online. They're comfortable with their tablets, their phones, and we want to incorporate that them to keep their learning process going. And gamification has provided that avenue for us, and we're seeing the growth of it. So we'd like for you guys to just be aware of it, something that maybe if you want to introduce into your course, we can sit down with you on a one-on-one basis, and we can see what type of games and materials could probably work for you. It's something that you don't have to do for every module, but if you know that maybe you have a certain project or a certain module that you feel that an engagement piece with gamification could help, we could explore those avenues and see what type of games are out there that would fit your course. I know Arielle has looked into some courses herself that she's explored, that she's found a couple of games and reached out to the professor and see if, if the game would fit for them. So it's something that we're exploring and trying to put out there because it's a great engagement piece. Students are able to pretty much, it's a portfolio experience because they have different avenues to express what they've learned. Yes, sir.
If you can find anything on, just your own looking, on historical games, there are things like, people do things like counterfactual history. What if such a thing had not happened? I'll look myself, but if you see anything like that.
Definitely, because there's some scenarios out there that you're making choices, and you can see what the outcome could be. And choice games are actually one of the more popular ones from what I've read out there. That students like to read what the scenario is and what could be the possible outcome, and they'll use those to express themselves. Like, let me see what happens if I go in this direction, or if I make a certain choice, how it affects the outcome in the end. So we'll definitely keep an eye out there for some of those like that. Maybe we could share them and probably introduce them into your course as well. Let's go back to the slides real quick, please. Yeah, the actual slides. The next one I want to introduce you to is, I like to call these guys like the heavyweights. It's MIT, and they have what's called the MIT Game Lab. And they've really gone above and beyond. They are at the forefront of putting games out there into courses. And you could go to gamelab.mit.edu, and you can explore for yourself what types of games and options are out there that would fit your course. But more importantly, they actually let you download some of them if you see something that's out there.
.mit.edu?
Yes, sir. gamelab.mit.edu. And like I was saying, towards here, towards the bottom, you'll see Windows, Mac, and they have all kinds of options that you're able to download it for, see if you want to use it for your course. I was actually going to play, I believe it's this one. I was going to play a quick video so you can see like how a game works in a classroom, in a class setting.
People think that relativity is extremely weird. And the reason for that is just that we do not grow up with it. And the deeper reason for that is that it only really becomes apparent when objects are moving very close to the speed of light. And in everyday life, we just don't do that.
The goal of the project was to make something familiar that was very unfamiliar. The laws of special relativity, what would they look like in a familiar setting? With the gameplay, we actually took a very familiar type of gameplay, an object collection mechanic, and made that unfamiliar. So in an interesting way, we're kind of giving players what seems at the outset like a laughably simple task, just collecting 100 objects that are visible, that are strewn around a level. There's not really much blocking you from getting them. As gameplay proceeds, though, it turns out to be a much more difficult task than you might have imagined at the beginning.
The idea of the game was that we artificially lower the speed of light. Every time that you pick up one of the little objects in the game, light gets a little slower. That means that everyday velocities, the character walking around, is becoming closer and closer to the speed of light, and thus the world around you becomes increasingly relativistic.
If it were human scaled and at walking pace, then the thought is that it would be easier for the player to get acclimated to these effects, because it's really familiar, you know? Like, it's just walking. You walk every day. Now here it is with relativistic speeds.
We are developing this game open source. So the code that gets developed in this lab here is going to be available to anybody who later on would like to build on this. It's like a relativistic game engine. So if people would like to develop games that also are taking place in the same kind of environment, they can take what was built here and then enhance upon it and put different games into the same engine. So I hope this also appeals to other game developers.
A Slower Speed of Light is the kind of game that I think people expect to come out from the MIT Game Lab. It's a game about physics. It's a game about something very, very complex made very tangible. It conveys some of the joy that theoretical physicists actually experience every day when they're dealing with these very, very interesting issues about the real world. So we see that games can be a very, very powerful medium for sharing some of the really interesting things that MIT researchers are working on with the rest of the general gaming public.
But as you can see, guys, there's a lot of interesting things out there. This may not be the subject matter that's going to fit for your course, but the MIT Game Lab, when you go to their website, you can look around and you'll see different options and games that could probably work for your course. And like I said, that's something we could sit down with you and go over your course and see whatever particular subject. You know, you're looking at history. I believe you're looking at English. I forgot what subject matter you were in.
Kinesiology, sports medicine.
Okay, KIN. I built a lot of those KIN courses, so I'm familiar with them. And there's a lot of good things out there that we could probably use. I know that there's a lot of athletes and students that take those courses, and there's a lot of interesting games that they could probably incorporate into these courses. And it's a great way to maintain their engagement and get them interested in the subject matter. And then you'll see their reaction when they start, you know, actually using these games. And it's not like you have to go out there and program and stuff. You know, that's another that's a completely different story. But the fact that they let you download these, like he was saying, it's an open source. There's people who out there who actually download this and add on to it. But I wanted to make you guys aware of it because there's just so many tools out there to keep your students engaged, keep them, you know, interested in the subject matter, because like sometimes it may be their first time taking an online course, or it may be your first time teaching online. So it's good to know that there's a lot of tools out there. And if you guys want to sit down and talk more, because like we're trying to keep it in a short like workshop, but if there are things that you want to sit down with in a particular tool or game or an engagement piece that interests you or sparks something that you may want to look into further, you know, you can set up a time. You can sit down with us and we'll go over things that are out there. Because we see these things on a daily basis. This is what we research, this is what we look at. We sign up for these kind of like workshops and look for all kinds of tools that we can go out there and share with you guys. So with that being said, Ariella has a specific tool that she's going to focus on that it's going to be great for engagement that you guys can use in your class. And in fact, as a team here for DLI, we're on it and we're starting to use this to communicate and just keep us engaged on what's going on. And I'll let her take over because she'll go into the specifics on it.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm here to talk to you guys about an application called Slack. Now, I know the name seems a little counterintuitive to what you would want in your online courses, but Slack, the purpose of Slack is to increase engagement. So the word actually stands for searchable log of all conversation and knowledge. And it's essentially just a messaging platform that you guys can utilize. So I'm just going to play a short video that will go into just a brief overview of what it is and some of the features that you can utilize.
So 6 months ago, I get an email from Stuart Butterfield. He wants to talk about making a video for his new thing, Slack. It would change the way teams communicate. Change the way teams communicate. I told him my company runs entirely on email and Dropbox, and we were doing just fine.
Yeah, I guess we had a system. I would email with Adam and text with Shady. JP and I would G-chat.
And I would mostly hold my meetings in the utility closet like Logan.
And I was new, so I didn't talk so much.
This wasn't sustainable if I wanted my company to grow, and something had to change. So yeah, we tried Slack.
Slack lets us do all our communication in one place. It's like combining multiple forms of messaging and file sharing into one app. Adam's pretty much in love with it.
You make channels in Slack, which is perfect for discussing specific topics and groups, depending on who needs to be in on the conversation.
Let's try one a little less goofy.
Copy that.
One thing I like is that we can send all kinds of documents right in the app. You can just drag and drop.
Slack integrates with Dropbox, which is amazing because we use Dropbox for everything.
Slack supports lots of other integrations too. Everything from Asana, Google Hangouts, Jira, Papertrail, Pingdom, Pivotal Tracker.
A link to an audio player like SoundCloud extends inline, so listening to it couldn't be easier.
AppSignal, Bitbucket, Bugsnag, BuildBox.
Slack just looks really cool, like something you'd actually want to use. And with the mobile app, we can Slack anywhere, from home, at the office, even.
And on the go. I like that Slack always keeps my place. I can switch from my laptop to my mobile, and I never miss a thing.
Is this your card?
Yes. What I love about Slack is how it connects the team with direct lines of communication, business.
She uses it to send funny pictures.
I use it to send funny pictures. Crashlytics, MailChimp, Reamaze, Stripe, CodeShip, GitHub.
And Adam loves it. His inbox isn't bloated, and he can easily keep tabs on everyone's projects. Slack really has changed the way his team communicates, and all this open, efficient communication keeps his company happy, which makes Adam happy too.
Okay, so I know in the video is more focused on you're fine. It's more focused on a business setting, but even more recently, people have discovered that they can use it in their for education purposes in their online courses. So we can go back to the slide. I'll click on the slide.
There you go.
Okay, so before I get into the details of how you can tie it together with education, I just want to go into a little bit of theory first. And I'm going to focus on a few points that were brought up by a philosopher named Lev Vygotsky. So he stated that we learn through our interactions and communication with others. So this basically means that whenever we're talking with people, whenever we're collaborating or interacting, we're learning something. And he also states how teachers can foster an environment where students can interact and collaborate and provide feedback with each other and learn. He also states how culture is the primary determining factor for knowledge construction. And what this means is that through this cultural lens that we have, we're able to learn by interacting with others, and also we sort of bring our own experiences to sort of formulate our own skills that we utilize. And the last point that he talked about is learning always occurs and cannot be separated from social context. So this means that learning, education, and interaction cannot be separated. These two things go together. So no matter what interaction that you have with someone, you're going to be learning something about either yourself or the other person or a separate idea. And here, I'm just going to read to you guys a quote about this guy who actually goes even further to say that Slack can become its own learning management system. He says, "My argument is that a LMS by default should support the learning activities that the students perform themselves. What I like about Slack, when thinking about learning, is that it's by default an active environment. No matter where you are in Slack, you can write, post, share, comment, and more. Discussion is not an add-on element buried deep within the course. Slack is discussion, it is collaboration, and that's really what an LMS should be like to support learning." So what he's saying here is that tying in together the concept from Vygotsky where learning is interaction, the entire basis of Slack is communication. You can't use the app without talking or interacting with the fellow students or with a teacher. So through this app, we can sort of create this environment where people will be constantly learning. And he goes so far to say that it can be a new LMS. And actually in his article, I just want to touch into that a little bit, where he talks about there are two different types of learning approaches, where it's more teacher-based, where you have a more traditional setting where you just have a teacher who's talking to you for 3 hours straight, and from that you're supposed to sort of absorb knowledge and learn through that method. Or you can do a type of method which is more student-based, where the student kind of takes more of a dominant role in their education. They will do different student activities to learn about different concepts, and the teacher is sort of there to just support you and guide you along. Now Slack tends to focus more on the student-based learning because the students will take a more of an active role in their education process, and you're not going to be responsible necessarily for just transmitting everything. So again, what is Slack? It's a messaging platform that's designed to promote connected discussion. It promotes ongoing and instant discussion. So here I just include a little picture just so you can see that you can use Slack as a mobile app or on your computer as well. And they also have a a web-based version. So I just want to go into a little bit of the features of the app, and then I'm going to show you guys a brief demonstration on what it looks like. So one of the features of the app is that it has organized conversations through the use of channels. So what you can do is, for example, you can see here, you can have a channel, and Slack always comes with two basic channels that they have pre-made, which is just a general discussion, which everyone's a part of that channel, and it also has another one called Slackbot, but I'm not going to go too much into that one because it's not really pertinent to you guys. So you guys can create your own channel. So for example, if you want to have an announcements page where you can post your syllabus or just make general announcements of the course, you can just create an announcement channel where you can just post all the information there. If you want to create a discussion channel, you can just create that one through the use of the app. And you can also, when you create these different channels, you can choose if you want it to be a certain group of students or if you want the entire class to be included. So if you're trying to create like a project and you only want to have a channel that has 5 people in it, you can just select the 5 people that you want to add into that particular channel. It also promotes a searchable history where if you, for example, if you guys had a discussion and you wanted to find a particular thing that a student said, you can just search for a keyword and then it'll bring up every single message that had that keyword mentioned. It also has a place where you can keep all of your tools into one place. And they mentioned this briefly in the video, but you can use Slack to integrate with other applications. So say if you want to use Dropbox, you can use that within the app. It also has secure data, so they have message encryption, and they have, if you want, you can add two-factor authentication. And you can also use integrated file sharing, where, for example, if you find a cool article that you want to share with your students, you can just drag and drop it to the ad, and the students can just click on it and read it. So for the features, I'm just going to give you guys a brief demonstration. I have pulled it already. So if I want to create a channel, sorry, I'm just going to go a little, oops. Okay, there you go. So if I want to create a channel, I'm just going to select this plus sign that says create a channel, and you can choose a name. So I'm just going to say workshop. And here, for the purpose, you can decide, you can just put a brief description of the channel and what people will be using it for. So just so the students can know, like, hey, in this channel, I'm only going to be discussing these things. So I'm just going to put workshop info. And then here you can choose who you want to be added into this channel. So you can choose everyone or just particular people. I'm just going to select Ron and create the channel. So I can create a message and say hello. Oops. And if Ron wants to type something back, then you can just use his phone and send a message. And there you go. It's instant. You guys can also send direct messages between you and your students. So if you want to talk to, so if I want to talk to Ron, I'm just going to use him again. I can just click on this section that says direct messages and just type hi. And then he'll instantly get it, and you can respond. Oh, you're going to send a message? Sure. Okay. And there you go. So that was just a brief demonstration. Slack does have other capabilities that I did mention before, but if you guys want a separate workshop on that, I can go more into the details of it. I'm just going to go back to the PowerPoint here. Now, Slack and education. So just here I wrote down some of the things that you guys can use Slack for, just to have it into sort of a compiled list. So you can use it to communicate information about the class. Again, announcements, or if you want to post a syllabus, Slack is the perfect way to do that. Sharing files, if you want to share articles, you can use Slack. You can also use it to collect your students' work. So what they can do is they can direct message you, say that you have a written assignment due for them. They can just drag and drop into a direct message with you, and you guys can just collect it through that method. And can you also use that to provide feedback? So say that you've received the assignment, you can just say, you can provide whatever feedback you want. If you want, you can give the grade through that. You can tell them their grade through the app, or you can just keep all that on Blackboard. It depends on what you're comfortable with. Again, you can send announcements, and also you can use it to organize students into groups for assignments. So if you want, say you're working on a project for the course, you can say, I want these 3 students to work together, so I'm going to create a separate channel for them. I'm just going to assign them to that channel, and they can use that to sort of collaborate and interact with each other. You can also use it as discussion boards. So say you can create a different channel that says week 1 discussion question. And you can tell your students, hey, on this day at this time, I want you guys to log into this channel. I want you guys to talk about this subject. So I think through that method, you could sort of get a more engaged and instantaneous discussion with people. So instead of using a Blackboard, because it can be a little asynchronous, with Slack, you can just have people talking instantly. You can get instant feedback and responses. So the last point that I put is that it helps students remember that the online course exists. Because I had a friend who was telling me how he hated online courses because he could never really remember them. Because his teachers weren't really communicating with him, so it wasn't always in his mind. So he'd forget about assignments and different stuff like that. I think that Slack would be a great way to remedy this problem, because you're going to have constant, on your phone, it's going to send you notifications if something's posted. You're going to have this constant reminder that, hey, this course exists, participate. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Ariel. I think it's a great tool. And one last thing I mentioned on that, it's free.
Yes, it's free.
It's free, you know. So you just go, you download the app, and let's just say, for example, you did tell the student we're meeting at 6. They may be out with their friends and wherever they're going to be at. They're going to be getting that notification like, oh, whoa, something's happening in my class. I better pay attention. And they'll treat it as a text message. They'll be just going down the line and being able to participate and still collaborate in the course. And it gives them that flexibility that it could be anywhere. And it's kind of like one of the models we have when it's online learning. It's like anywhere, anytime. So this is one of those tools that they could use anywhere at any time. And you don't have to be at your desk. Maybe you are doing something that you can't be at your computer, but you know what? You can still collaborate with your students wherever you're at. And you can still send them questions that, you know, that's going to jolt their mind, like, hey, I want you to think about this, or have you seen the latest trend in something? And you know, you get them engaged like that, and it's convenient for you as well. So, you know, if you guys want to sit down with us, Ariel's, she's a champ at using this tool. So, any of us will definitely want to sit down with you if you want to have any more info. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have 2 questions about it. One, it looked as when I was looking at that final list of features, it looks like a number of these things overlap with, or not that that's bad, but overlap with or duplicate what you do on Blackboard. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I send an announcement to students on Blackboard, that's the same thing as number 1, their communication. So I'm wondering, are you recommending or to use both at the same time? Doesn't this get confusing to students? I mean, if Blackboard is our default way and everybody's accustomed to looking at Blackboard for an announcement, and then we have this other thing, do you create a problem in which people that need to check one, or they not only need to check Blackboard, they also need to check Slack, or does this automatically come to them? Am I making sense with you?
No, you definitely are. Go ahead if you want to answer it.
I was just going to say that you can decide, again, what you use Slack for. So you can sort of, the purpose of Slack is to have all your functions into one place. Now, I'm not recommending that you completely do away with Blackboard, but I'm saying that it could be an essential tool. So instead of using it to make announcements, you can just use it for discussions, or you can use it for things where it'd be more pertinent that students are connecting right away, instantaneously, ongoingly. So if you don't want to use it for these different things, then you just choose what aspects you want to use it for. And I don't think the students would get confused if you do it in that method, because for them it's just easy to just have the app and they can just get a notification like, hey, I'm just doing this on this particular app. Or you can make an announcement in the course saying, hey, on Slack, I'm going to be doing this.
Yeah, I can see how then you can have them complement each other.
Exactly. It's like a complementary, it's an extra tool that you could use. And like I said, you could include it in your syllabus. And you'll mention, like, in Module 3, guys, we're gonna use Module 3 and 4, we're gonna use Slack. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna cover the following items, whatever the subject matter is, whatever the assignment is. And we're gonna use Slack to communicate, because this project requires a couple of meetings. And since everyone obviously can't get together at the same time, we could go on to Slack and we'll be able to communicate that way. And what's really good is, even if a student's not participating, and let's just say their phone is off, they're in the movies, their phone is off, they're not even listening, don't even know what's going on. When they get out and they turn their phone on, that history stays there, it doesn't go away. They could actually just read through the whole thing and go through it and still be caught up. So it's got some nice little features that it does do that. I actually used it myself over the summer for my last course, and it was definitely helpful.
Yeah, well, actually, you did anticipate my other question, which is a general one that I'm struggling a little bit with in the whole online format. When you say anytime, anywhere, you have an audience of 15 or 20 out there who are doing all kinds of different things at different times, some of whom, as you say, they cannot participate at that time. So I'm not, you know, when you're in an in-class situation, we've had a discussion of X event, right? The Russian Revolution. And we all did this, or we're supposed to do it, at the same hour, so you expect all the students to take a certain amount of understanding from that. When you set up the online discussion format, you either have to, I'm struggling a little bit with, I need to say, okay, this is when we're going to do this, but obviously 6 of you can't do it at this particular time, right? Now what you're saying is Slack addresses some of that, because those other 6 people can come and later on look at everything that went on in the discussion, right?
Yeah,
There's a transcript of the whole discussion.
There's a transcript,
Is
exactly.
that not available in Blackboard, or is there anything like that? Not that I know, I don't care, I just want to know.
No, there is a discussion section in Blackboard, but it's different because with Blackboard, the discussion isn't so collaborative. It's sort of someone posting their response, and later someone else posts their response maybe a few hours later, and then someone posts a response a day later, something like that. But with Slack, you just, again, to sort of combat the issue of, you know, how do I get all these people to participate at the same time, I just recommend setting up the schedule, seeing what time works best for most people, if not everyone, and then having people participate in Slack at that particular time, so they can have a sort of ongoing discussion where they can just instantly reply to each other, because it is like you're texting someone. So.
Right.
And I guess, unfortunately, I think a lot of it goes down to the fact that Blackboard doesn't have as robust of a mobile application as everyone is used to, at least your students tend to be familiar with, whereas Slack is very much in heart with Silicon Valley and what you expect from applications that are useful. It engages, like Ariella said, in a synchronous way, where it's real time, whereas I think Blackboard tends to be at a moment, right? I have to find my laptop, log in with the Duo code, I have to get it, let me log in, and then I get to respond and be participating in the course. Whereas Slack is just ongoing, right? It's ongoing conversations. It's something that's there. You'll get notifications on your phone when the professor, when one of you as the professor writes to the students. They'll immediately be notified even faster than the announcements on Blackboard. So I guess I don't want to say that you got to use what you're comfortable with. And I think little by little, if you find ways to use Slack maybe more than Blackboard, maybe you don't need the announcements section in Blackboard, and you utilize Blackboard for the Dropbox and other features that it provides that are convenient for you. I think this kind of takes care of that gap, right? That gap of you know, I want to talk to my students, I want to engage my students now, and not just when they log into Blackboard. I think Slack takes care of that particular element.
Yeah.
And like breaking news kind of things are really interesting. So, for example, you're watching the news, a big event's happening, the election last night, you know, the results. You can be texting just on the spot and just be like, hey guys, did you see what happened in District 26, or, you know, whatever the situation is, and they'll get that alert and they'll be like, oh cool, maybe I should tune in. You know, and it's just a little, like, here you go, this little quick news flash. So there's different options of why you could use it. It just gives them that alert You know, just like,
And-
hey,
and-
something's going on.
And then from the start of the course, this is an app, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you would say to all the students, make sure you have the Slack app, because at some point we're gonna use it.
Yes, and we provide, you have the link and everything of like how to download it. And
Yeah. I can send that to you guys.
you know what, when we send out our message, we'll send Slack as the link so you can sign up. And like I said, it's free.
Sure.
And it's
I
nice
can see its benefits. I'm still trying to, if you think of an old-fashioned discussion where you have the students in a room, you try to translate that outside. Sometimes there is a flow of argument that you're trying to get people to participate in and react to. I can see how you could translate that in some ways very effectively to this situation. You still may have the limitations of the 6 people who weren't on at that time, and they're gonna have to come in a little later after, let's say we got to this point in the discussion. Well, they will see where the discussion ended, so they might have a different question or a different issue than the people who are actually participating in the real moment. But that's inevitable with this kind of format. You just kind of have to accustom your question and leading your discussion to that kind of thing, right?
Of course. I mean, I can see one possible scenario is maybe you're out, you're teaching a course in the summer and you're out on a trip yourself, and you see something out there, you're like, oh, well, this is a really good picture that this would pertain to the subject matter that I'm talking to my students about, and you see this really cool picture out there, you can just take that picture, send it in Slack, and boom, like everybody sees it, they're like, oh wow, that's really cool, and you're sharing that, in real time with them. So that's just an example. There's so many out there that until you start using it and see, what benefits, how it pertains and fits to your course.
No, and that seems to be obvious and very useful at any given moment, right?
Yes.
You've got a piece of information that you can simply suddenly give to everybody, and you're not trying to structure some interaction. You're just saying, hey, notice this, and they can take it from there.
Yeah.
That seems to be extremely useful. Yeah, for that purpose as well as the others.
Definitely, and it's very easy to use. I mean, we pretty much all text on a daily basis. That's what you're doing. You're attaching pictures. You're texting. Your audience is your class.
Yeah.
That's your audience in this specific chat room. You set up.
Yeah. But I can see, if you look at how this was presented, you can see how it works very well in an office situation. Let's say everybody's sitting there at a computer in a suite of offices, but they're all there from 9 to 5. So of course, in a sense, you've got them captive, there in a way that you don't have students captive when they're out all over the world. So you just have to make an adjustment.
Exactly.
To that.
But that is the beauty of it too. That I've had students who send me emails about like, oh, I'm having an issue with something in Blackboard, and I've noticed I've had students in the past that this one particular student, for example, he would only email me at 3 in the morning, and I would see his copy, and I wouldn't see it till the morning, till I came in. And I was like, why does he 3 in the morning? I was like, he's a late out. He works at night, so he works at the airport. So he's graveyard shift. He was 10 to 6 in the morning, and that's when he does his work for school. So when I answer him in the morning, excuse me, he'd receive that message the following morning. So it's good to see that there's tools out there that can captivate students on the spot.
Yeah.
And this just happens to be one of them. Do you guys have any questions? Anything else that you guys are interested in? We're going to send out this video. We're also going to send out the link to Slack. But like I say, if you guys want to sit down with us, if gamification was what caught your eye today, we can sit down with you and we can go over that. If you're looking for any other type of engagement piece, we're all here. If you want to do lecture videos, I kind of mentioned earlier, that's Byron's specialty. He'd be able to go and meet up with you and get that done. He'll also get it edited and posted if you want to do video lectures. So there's a lot of things out there that we offer. So if you guys want to just give us a call, give us an email, call, stop in. We're right here. We're definitely willing to sit down with you guys. So thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it.